And I think you're now talking about something which is quite removed from that, and indeed that our policy context is now needs much more to be about a workforce strategy, organisational development, capability framework, rather than a skills framework. So I'm interested in say you explore a bit more what that policy, what that means, and what the implications are for funding agencies.
Okay, but explain, having watched Queensland over the years, that what started out in the care sector as a training organisation is gradually transmogrifying itself into something that I would regard as sectoral development agency. Yes, training is still part of the core mission, it's very important, but it's not all that you do, it's certainly not what's necessarily driving much of the activity, there are broader drivers. I think that's a very interesting way to go, and it seems to be one that makes perfect sense if what I've shown in this presentation has any validity at all. Simply tackling the skills supply on its own and doing a bit of labour market information forecasting, useful though it is not going to crack a lot of the problems. The experience in Scotland has been that the Scottish Funding Council funds TAFE and higher education has put a small sum of money into the skill utilisation projects, originally £1.8 million, 12 projects, so we're not talking mega dollars, just to try and see whether this kind of activity was possible if it was led by TAFE and higher education institutions. And plainly it's a voluntary, these are volunteers, these are people who think, yeah, I'm up for that, I think that could be quite interesting. It's not at all clear that the whole of TAFE or the whole of education can get into this at the moment. But I suspect that it started something that will develop, and plainly the Funding Council will increasingly incentivise institutions to do it. One of the things the Scottish Government have done, because they are fairly serious about this, they did spend a lot of time trying to get the different actors on board. They spent a long time doing a literature review to find out what skills utilisation might be and how they might impact on it, and I've been able to piggyback on that. They spent a lot of time trying to get employers, voluntary bodies, trade unions, the public and private sector, and everyone else on board, at least around the need to try and do something about it. But in the public sector, the way they've tried to implement it is very simple. They've said to every single government department and every single government agency in Scotland, we are building your management's attempts to tackle and improve skill utilisation into your annual corporate plans to government and into the inspector's inspection regime. So if you don't start doing something, your failure inspection reports and your corporate plans will be sent back to you for revision. So go away. And that is a very useful reinforcing mechanism. Basically said to people, certainly running public sector institutions, we better start taking this seriously because we can't afford to have a poor inspection report. That means that the CEO of the agency or organisation will be going for a walk down the road. So it isn't just, motherhood and apple pie and sort of aspiring to be better. The government is actually managing this in quite concrete ways. And the Funding Council is sending very clear messages to colleges, TAFE and higher education that in the medium term it expects a lot more of them to get engaged in this. There will definitely be a second round of projects, and there will be some attempt thereafter when we've actually mulled over the lessons and checked what the results are to try and mainstream this activity into what a lot of TAFE departments and universities do. And what's really intriguing is that I was last week in New Zealand working with a consortium of polytechnics, where they have arrived as a consortium in Auckland at a position where they actually want to start exactly this kind of broader innovation work. They believe that their departments have some capability to do it in certain areas, particularly education areas. They're doing a capacity audit, and their next stage will be to build those capacities and take to market an offer around technical transfer, knowledge transfer, innovation, work organisation, job redesign, skills utilisation. So they're trying it bottom up. So I think my advice would be watch the space, because I think it is something that's actually starting to work. Now whether it works perfectly or not, I think there are some